What is up, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in to Pack Airsoft today. My name is Mason.
And I'm Chris.
And today for you, we have the first episode in a new series in which we go to and review different airsoft fields and arenas.
Right, so for our first episode, we went to a place called the Grid Code in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was our first time ever being there. Here's some of our footage that we gathered and our after-action report.
So Chris, we were just at the Grid Code in Allentown playing airsoft. What'd you think? First reaction.
OMG, that was awful.
What about it was awful? Let's go.
The fact that I still have eyeballs that are like intact is amazing to me.
Okay.
And like, when you walk into Grid Code, I feel that you should have eye protection on and never take it off, because it's unbelievable how little safety there is.
Let's list some things. Let's see. There no barrel covers. Okay.
Nope,
there were mags and guns, loaded mags and guns.
There were people shooting their guns in the loading area.
Shooting in the loading area.
No one has eye protection on.
Where is it? Somebody knows. Somebody.
Oh!
What do you think about it?
Okay, when we walked onto the field, half the people had eye protection on. People are shooting.
Kid in the smiley face one has no eyes on. So people are just walking in without eye protection on.
I love it.
Yep. Hey. We should tell the ref.
Oh wait,
Where's the ref? Oh no.
They run to
Get that?
Teaser. That's it, teaser.
Finger on it.
Same team, switch sides. Oh no, I got
Finger on
it.
the trigger.
Yeah, we're not too bad. We
Play zombies. We get to shoot this game as many times as we
Yes! No, let's do it.
Okay, Milano! Alright, here's the rules of zombies.
I want to shoot you so bad.
Pete, the Psycho Killer's SpongeBob zombie.
Rod.
If he kills you,
Boomer.
you turn into a Psycho Killer zombie.
And like during the middle of games, refs, this gentleman, just walking out into the middle of a game, just screaming, "Hold on, I need so and so," with no goggles on, nothing.
Nothing.
Ceasefire! Right, front, center! Mustang, where are you? When are we done? No. Wait, where are you at? Over!
Nothing.
And he just yells until nobody knows what's going on. Everybody stops.
We were wondering if the game was over.
One ref is yelling at the other, and then like the guy, we were walking out as we were leaving like 10 minutes ago. We're walking out. One ref comes out, gets out of his car carrying a
revolver.
A revolver.
It was a
it's
revolver.
An airsoft gun, an airsoft revolver in which the orange tip has been cut off of. Just walking through the parking lot.
It's in his waistband.
Look at this. This is-
We're in the city. We're in Pennsylvania. There are people
We're
driving.
in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and this dude's just walking around. Totally illegal to do.
It was horrendous. So how are the games? How are the games?
Well,
we were here. It's 5:30. We've been here for 3.5 hours.
And we played 4 games.
We played 4 games
for $25.
for $25. $25.
Yeah, there was no set time. It's just like whenever the ref was like done looking at someone else's gun or felt like
not just looking at someone else's gun, shooting them
or
pointing them at each other.
Like, there's a kid walks by another kid with a loaded pistol. He takes it from him and starts pointing at another kid's like face with no mask on, and the other kid who he took it from is like, "Careful, don't pull the trigger." He's like, "I won't." That's the safety.
Granted, most of the customers and the employees are like buddy, which is one thing, but there was no manager on duty for the employees.
We never met them, and they were like perfectly fine with us walking everywhere without eye protection, which we didn't, because I value like my eyes.
We had our goggles on in the loading area sometimes because it was scary. This one kid, you know, they're having rubber knife duels in the loading area.
Just, like,
one kid pulled out a real knife to show this kid,
like a K-bar.
and he was like waving it around. It was scary. It was scary, Chris. Are you scared?
I'm scared.
I'm pretty scared. We're still in the parking lot and I'm scared.
Yeah. Let's get out of Pennsylvania.
Let's get out of back to New Jersey.
Wow.
All right, we graded the grid code under the following categories. The first is location. Was it easy to find by vehicle or however you were getting there? Was there proper signage, and how was the parking? The next is how was the facility / store? Was the store well stocked? Were the prices okay? Was it easy to navigate around the facility and find things?
All right, and the next was field and arena. How was the field or arena set up? Was it set up so that each side was balanced with the proper amount of cover, open spaces? Did games flow well? Were the games fun? Did they have good game types? Were objectives clearly marked? Did everybody know what was going on? The next is staff. How were the staff doing their job? Were they making sure that everybody knew the rules? Were they making sure that people were behaving and following the rules of the field?
The next category is safety. Was it a safe and controlled environment? And the last is fun. Did we have a good time and did we leave with a smile on our faces? Let's get into the review.
All right, so category number 1, location.
Well, we didn't have much problem finding the facility. There was a big sign in the front. However, parking was very, very limited and the parking lot was shared with neighboring businesses.
So, I mean, if you could find a parking spot, it was either a little, far away, or the few that were in front of the building were usually taken.
So, out of a possible 10 points for location, we gave the grid code a 7 out of 10. Category number 2, the facility / store.
Okay, so the grid code has been in their current location for almost approaching a year now, probably like 8 to 10 months. And for the amount of time they've been there, I really think they should be a little better set up than what they were. Immediately walking into the building, the entire shop has about 4 rifles hanging on the wall, probably another 4 pistols in display cases. The rest of the display cases were either empty or had a bunch of broken gun parts, boneyard style. The rest of the furniture in the waiting area didn't really look like it belonged.
It was a little odd.
Yeah, it wasn't right, but we'll just let them slide on that one. But the loading area was tiny for the size of the arena. They should have had a much, much larger loading area. There was just no room. It was a slow day, and there was barely enough space for the people there.
On the walls were a couple things of sheets of pegboard to hang things on, 2 workbenches, and 2 fold-up tables.
So there was very limited space. I mean, the workbenches were at least all the way around the walls, but they're like 2 feet wide, so just very limited space.
Yep, so out of a possible 10 points, we gave the grid code a 4.
Alright, that brings us to our next category, field and arena.
Now for the size of the grid code's arena, it wasn't too bad. It was average, if anything a little bit below average, but it was oddly shaped. It was almost like an L, and the part that kind of stuck out a little bit provided no tactical advantage, and there was no real reason to be in there. And that was also due to the fault of the games. They weren't run very well. The objectives, when there were objectives, weren't tactically placed. There was a large, shooting alley that you could shoot across from one field to the other, which was almost
One
like
side of the field to the other.
It was almost a no man's land, and each corner of the field was a very, very tight space, a bunch of walls that provided little to no engagements, and was just a bunch of safety kills and bang bangs. So for this category, out of a possible 10 points, we gave the grid code a 3. The next category is staff.
Alright, so for this category, we only had frequent encounters with about 2 staff members. There were, I think, 2 other staff members there who did check-in, did the register, but we didn't really have any encounters or interactions with them. But the other 2 staff members who we did have interactions with did a very poor job. They weren't doing their job. They weren't explaining game types. They weren't making sure that the rules of the facility were being obeyed. I sort of got the impression that most of the players and the staff were friends, so it was kind of like a bit of an awkward situation because we were new. Yeah, we're new. We're waiting for stuff to go on, and the staff and the players are just kind of talking, hanging out, and then we would play a game whenever they were done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird situation to be put in.
Like we said in our after action report, we were there for 3.5 hours and played 4 games that were 10 to 15 minutes long.
Which is there's obviously something wrong when that's happening.
2 of those games, 2 out of the 4 games that we played, were not explained or poorly explained. We would ask the ref and we would get kind of a half answer, and we'd ask another player and get a slightly better answer.
So the games weren't well run, and we didn't have a very good idea of what was going on.
The last game that we played, which was a zombie game, the players basically ran that and kind of made it up as they went along. Yeah, the staff.
It seemed like the staff was making what they were doing up as they went along.
And that making things up, that goes along with rules, that goes along with safety, that goes along with
game types.
It was just one big. It was not good. It was
a mess.
Very poor. Yeah. So out of a possible 10 points, we gave the staff a 2.
Our next category is safety.
Now, if you saw our after action report and the footage that we gathered, you probably have a ballpark idea of what we're going to rate this. However, we're going to briefly go over it anyway. First, we'll start with the staging area. We should have been required to wear goggles in there, or full seal eye protection in the staging area, because it was completely unsafe. There were players with loaded guns, batteries or gas, BBs in them, fingers on the triggers, sweeping everybody, pointing it at each other's faces, having rubber knife duels. At one point, a player pulled out a real knife, almost a K-bar, and was showing it to people when they weren't ready to be shown
a real knife.
The real knife. But the staging area was,
the staging area was an unsafe environment because of the things we mentioned. We did just say that people were pointing loaded guns with their fingers on the trigger at each other's unshielded face. People were test firing, making sure their guns were working with.
We got
BBs
hit with ricochets
in the loading area with no eye protection, which is kind of a scary feeling.
Moving on to the actual field, players would walk out and test their guns to see if their hop-up is okay, with no eye protection. Half the time, the ref wasn't even out on the field for the first, 3 minutes of that, so there were a bunch of, unsupervised players ranging, from different ages, unsupervised, firing their weapons, zero eye protection. They did not enforce eye protection. There were a bunch of moments where, in the middle of games, players were taking off eye protection.
There was actually one incident where referees were coming into the loading area with a game going on. Game wasn't over.
Onto the field.
Yeah, they're coming onto the field with a game in progress with no eye protection. I think both of them actually only wore carpentry safety glasses. There were no full seal goggles.
Yeah, and even in the parking lot, there was an instance where, as we said in our after-action report, one of the staff members walked outside with their airsoft revolver with the orange tip removed. And it was in his hand and then in his waistband, just walking around outside getting something from his car. Highly unsafe. So for the category of safety, we gave the grid code, out of a possible 10 points,
a whopping 0.
And our last category is fun. Chris, did you have any fun?
I had a little bit of fun. I might have had more fun just riding up in the car on the way.
It was a nice ride.
It was a nice, sort of.
It was nice weather.
It was nice weather, nice ride. Just because of the blatant safety violations and just everything in which we talked about contributed to a basically not fun experience.
It was chaos.
It's not an experience in which I would like to go back to.
We did not get our money's worth. It was $25 for the all-day pass, and we left earlier than expected because there was no use for us being there anymore.
Absolutely.
So for the category of fun, we gave the grid code a 2. That'll about do it for our review of the grid code. Now for just some final remarks.
Yeah, so we definitely want to say this is an isolated incident. We've gone once. This is Mason and my own opinion. There were 2 employees in which we had contact with. Yeah, the general manager was not there. So we want to just make sure that you guys know this is our experience alone.
Yeah, again, we went on a Saturday, so that most likely had an effect on the different employees and the players being there. The players' ages ranged from about 14 up to early 20s, but the staff was in and out and not even present at some times. We did not have much fun, and we do not plan on going back there. However, we don't want to discourage you from going there and to experience it for yourself. Maybe you'll have a better encounter. Right. If you guys have a good encounter, maybe convince us to go back and we'll give a second chance. But again, this was our one day of going up there and what we thought they deserved out of a rating system. Out of a possible 60 points, they earned 17 points.
Correct. Which is a
averaged out to
2 out of a 10.
2.8.
2.8 out of 10 stars. So not great, but let us know what you thought of our review or from your own experiences in the comments. You can contact us via
Facebook. You can go on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/PackAirsoftReviews. You can leave us a comment or send us a message right here on YouTube, or you can send us an email at packairsoftReviews@gmail.com. He's Chris. My name is Mason. Thanks for watching.